the best early game LEC team. And if you haven't been keeping track of the LEC, a lot of people would assume that that title just single-handedly goes to G2. But it's not true, and it's because of that guy on your screen right there. He is a brute force machine in the lanes. He will gank repeatedly, and he will force it to work. So what do Clid and Faker do around that? Do they match that aggression, or do they attack elsewhere on the map?
And the thing that I want to sort of bring us to is what Vedius mentioned on the desk as well about Hylissang and his ability to roam around, because Effort has been very much a stay in lane and make sure that Teddy has all of the help that he needs in order to get to a mid and late game where he can carry for the squad. This guy did 31% of the team's damage during their playoff run. He's pretty good at the game if you can get him to that stage. So Hylissang in the early game, I think, is going to be a huge force for Fnatic.
Support roaming is going to be very big as well. We may have some change up for the bottom lane. I've been talking to a lot of the pro players in their boot camps. There have been an explosion of mages being played by all of the marksmen, even though throughout all of summer, Teddy has not played one mage. We very well see one here.
Now, as we do drop into Champion Select, that's what I wanted to see. SKT have done their homework. They know that they're against Nemesis, Fnatic's brand new mid laner after rebuilding the team, and he is a Twisted Fate nightmare. Mickey said it on the desk that when he locks in TF, it's GG. So SKT immediately wiped that off the board, and I guarantee that's also the Syndra for the mid and that bot lane that you were just talking about,
Yeah,
Kobe.
the flex Syndra pick coming in. First pick looking like a Kai'Sa potentially. The Xayah also on the board as well. If you want to go towards the traditional marksman, I know we're talking about mages on the bottom side of the map, but that's one. Oh no, so Reckless, he was the one that was playing the Mundo Yuumi. Are we going to possibly get a taste of this?
Yes, it's either the Mundo or the Garen Yuumi. You can also run it with a traditional ADC like Lucian or Ezreal to great
Xayah
effectiveness.
also ridiculous. We saw that by Damwon in the play-ins.
Here's the downfall. Fnatic have been very telegraphed in the drafts all year. It's clear that SKT have already done their homework with very targeted drafts.
God.
You know what's coming, so what do SKT have in store?
And very quickly, I love these two picks from SK Telecom. You're talking about their targeting in drafts here, Frost. I mean, they ban out the TF, then they steal away the Akali, which was Nemesis most played for playoffs, and then stealing away the Lee Sin. You saw the interview with Broxa moments before this game, trying to dodge around it. You know, we haven't played as much Lee Sin lately, but they take it away. Clid and Broxa, both huge Lee Sin players, and we do get the patented Fnatic Garen Yuumi bottom lane.
And it even gets worse because there's the bank plank on top of it. Okay, as we get into the game, I'll check in with you guys. I've done a lot of Garen Yuumi breakdowns, so I can cover that one as soon as we're on the Rift. But like you're saying, it's an LEC Fnatic staple.
And one thing I really did like from play-ons, we saw a lane swap versus a Garen Yuumi, which is a strategy adaptation that you can make because Garen Yuumi won't take turret plates as quickly as a traditional marksman. And we'll see how flexible SKT are here with their Kayle pick. This is something that has just skyrocketed in popularity in solo queue. Everybody now running the Klepto Kayle, either mid or top. So this is still technically flexible.
And I was curious kind of what the reemergence of Kayle would mean, because it felt like coming into this meta, I was expecting them to be very high-tempo games, very fast-paced. But when you have a pick like that, yes, it's late-game insurance policy, but I didn't expect carrying over from planes into groups that we continue to see scaling-oriented comps.
And I love that they're combining it here with other very big impact skills. Now, Kayle, when you look at the champion, the design, a lot of it is about late game carrying with auto attacking, but the ultimate is something you can use very offensively with dive champions. And SK Telecom have paired it with their first pick early Akali. This really empowers the Akali to dive backlines and get to those squishy champions with a Kayle ultimate on her. She'll have extra damage plus extra defense.
And also, Kai'Sa is still left available. Teddy yet to pick up a champion just yet. And speaking of dive bombing, Kai'Sa pretty damn good at that. We're going to get a support by the looks of things first up for Effort, and saving Teddy's pick, theoretically, until last. There might be some fancy shenanigans with a Kayle on the bottom side of the map, but I'm not willing to say that yet, as it looks like Nautilus will be locked for Effort.
And I feel like if it is Nautilus, it does tell that it's probably going to be the Kai'Sa by how well those champions sync up. I do want to kind of draw our attention back to the bans. There's a lot of jungle picks missing. The Elise, the Kiana, the Gragas, the Sylas, priority pick of Lee Sin in the first rotation for SKT. Broxa doesn't have the deepest effective champion pool, and a lot of his champions have been taken away from him.
Is it going to be the Echo that's locked in for Broxah here? Because we saw that tried in play-ins, didn't work out at all, as the Rise is going to be locked in.
Depends on what damage type you want to me, because Jarvan is also another very, very good and versatile champion that you can lock in for the jungle right now. Both of those fairly high priority. Rek'Sai! That is some early game power.
And also works into the Lee Sin relatively well.
Exactly. You don't even have to have very good mechanics to interrupt Lee Sin dashes on Rek'Sai. If you just auto-attack on the ground, then you'll automatically unburrow and interrupt any of the Lee Sin dashes.
Well, looks like Lucian is where Teddy's going to be going, trying to get some of that early game power against the Garen, and it's going to be Tristana, in fact, locked in. So early game power is still there.
And it's just as you said, Kobe, one of the things that Garen Yuumi really struggle with is taking plates. Something that Tristana does not struggle with is pushing down those towers and being an absolute menace. So there is a lot more tower and structural threat with SKT's composition if Garen and Yuumi get shoved in.
It's actually really similar to what Loki did to Damwon in their match that they were able to win against the Korean play-in powerhouse. So pick up the Tristana and then just out-push the low range of the Garen Yuumi composition.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what strategy they go with in-game, because SKT have drafted several tools to give them options here as far as the opening.
They did.
Bot lane KO, boys and girls!
Like I was saying, still flexible pick here. They can leave this Tristana for Faker in the mid lane.
And right out the gate, you already have adaptation coming in from SKT, whereas Fnatic on the other side went for a tried and true Fnatic composition. They have run this a million times in scrims and plenty on the competitive stage. So who will win out? The innovation of SKT on day one, something you didn't expect from the SKT Korean team, or Fnatic's tried and true practice comp.
And innovation is one of the most prized attributes at the World Championship. Every single year, those are the teams that rise to the top.
Well, every single year, it hasn't been SKT. They haven't been the team that makes the innovative moves. They haven't been the team that come in with the meta-breaking strategies. That's normally Fnatic as we get into game one of the World's group stage. And here we are onto the rift for game one of groups. Fnatic on our blue side, SKT on the red.
Fnatic, renowned for their preparation and effort put into level 1 strategies. You can already see them on the minimap right now, looking for a possible move onto Teddy in the bottom lane. Fnatic are coming into Worlds with the highest first blood percentage of any team of the entire tournament. 70.1% of the time, they do get that first blood, and 10 of those kills have come even before 3 minutes.
And I do want to point out something that Broxah did. He actually ran, placed a ward, and then immediately backed and has now picked up a sweeper. So you'll see this a couple of times in plans. It's now starting to catch on. Keep track of junglers and when they're switching out their trinkets, and it's indicative that Broxah might be looking for his famous level 2 gank, level 3 gank, and trying to clear a lot of those pathways.
Also something a lot of supports have been doing as well, so make sure you keep your eyes on both of those, as SKT early on moving 4 members towards this red buff, and we could have some biffo very early on in our first group stage match. You and Me has been utilized. The red buff is down to half health. SKT just a bit of a drive-by at the moment. Effort almost in a dangerous spot as we've got 4 versus 3 guys. Everyone diving on in. Broxah has taken the red, but can Reckless survive is the question. The You and Me has been used as first blood. Goes to Faker. He gets the resets and over the wall. Broxah, oh, that Q. So damn close from Cleared.
Yeah, he's going to hold on to the red buff, but SKT get first blood money onto Faker.
I would have bet so much money that Fnatic were going to pick up first blood in this game. Their early games have been legendary, and SKT have been slow. What is happening?
Again, it's the adaptation from SKT right out the gate, and now the question is, at what cost was it worth to take this? I do want to credit the brilliant aggro juggling here from the red buff, because there was a potential that this could reset and burn everything. Klid saw his moment, he went for it, Broxah was able to steal it away, but when you pick up the kills for SKT, like you're saying, on Faker of all people, this has to feel not worth.
Yeah, look at the focus fire there. They're able to burn him down, get that first play. Faker with rocket jump.
Already diving in onto Reckless there as the explosive charge is going to go off and probably even out the trade for Faker, but just swinging his weight around just a little bit there.
I say one big thing is that because it was a late invade, the first blood, you know, Faker actually doesn't go back to base and spend that money. So the power from that early move isn't there yet in this game, and you can see Nemesis doing just fine fending him off.
Yeah, and I do need to amend. It was a 4 versus 4, but sometimes Yuumi can be a little bit confusing. So in that jungle, it was SKT winning out in an even skirmish.
We do have a chance to talk about Yuumi kind of as the lane slowed down a little bit. If you haven't seen Garen and Yuumi, it works effectively like this. You abuse support itemization. You can see that Garen and Yuumi have both taken the support items, Relic and Spell Thieves, and it's Garen who's responsible to farm, while Yuumi is trying to proc Spell Thief's Edge with her Prowling Projectile. Try saying that 5 times fast. It's really fun. And then they just turn into a massive zoning tool. Garen's a delivery service for Yuumi. You have long-range poke, you run them down, and he's basically just the van that she sits in.
And as you can see, they want to try and upgrade those support items as early as possible. Having done so on the first back, that's the back timing that they're looking for, pushing that wave very hard, trying to get back and reset it. Meanwhile, I also want to look at SK Telecom's analysis of the Garen Yuumi, because I like what they have done in response. And we talked about who's going to come in with these prepared answers for what you expect the enemy team to do. Kayla's actually a perfect answer, because not only does the champion still want to scale very heavily, but she also does come with some sustain of her own, even though it is the marksman, has the heal that you can apply to try and deal with some of that Yuumi poke you're referring to, Puck.
Yeah, and she also just gets a free lane. Now Kayla gets to sit in lane phase, scale up into that terrifying late game level 11, level 16 Kale that we know she can be.
Yep. You also just basically get to a free Arisen form. It's pretty much how it works because of the range advantage that you're going to get. And effort there as well, being able to help out with the wave push feels pretty nice. And you can see SKT complete control of this bottom lane. Looking like going for a bit of a reset on Effort's side, probably trying to get some vision available for SKT as he does go home. And there's the control ward in the inventory.
And the expectation should be that between the Tristana as well as the push potential that Kayle can have in this bot lane, especially when you have a setup support like Nautilus, so threatening if a jungler ever comes down there and Hilly and Reckless don't have protective vision, I expect that SKT will control this bot side river. You can already see it's riddled with some of their wards. There's a high Drake that they want with that Mountain Drake. This will be dangerous though, I'll hold it for Broxa.
Yep, effort. He's going to spot him there in the river, but looks like Rek'Sai, she's just going to swim away.
And the assumption is that SKT will continue to maintain this control until they find a comfortable window where they can try to force that Drake, but neither team really wants to pull the trigger immediately because you have so many scaling options. So extended lane phases are still going to feel really good for both Fnatic and SKT.
Exactly. That's why we've been talking about this draft phase from SK Telecom for so long, because the flex pick, you know, moving the Tristana and the Kayle around between mid and bot does so much. When you have Tristana mid constantly pushing here, this allows Clid to move in and play that Lee Sin like you expect, aggressively looking for that vision control throughout that river to allow them to move between these two lanes.
Yeah, speaking of vision control, Broxa just spotted out there on an SKT ward as we're having a bit of a fight on the bottom side of the map, but otherwise nothing too much going to be happening. Faker in position here, moving towards the top side to answer Clid,
and just
who's also up the top.
Keep track of how many times Faker is shoving the lane forward and then disappearing into Fog of War, forcing kind of this invisible pressure over the map. You can see Brox is like, we think that Clid's probably up here, but we don't have eyes on Faker, so we're not going to try to force anything. And it's something as simple as, with my push priority, I shove the lane forward. When I have nothing to do, I walk into Fog of War, and the entire map must respect me.
Yeah, also, no way for Nemesis to leave the lane, right? Because if it's dark, then he potentially has a Lee Sin and a Tristana waiting for him, and that is definite kill pressure on a Rise at this stage.
Yeah, another important thing for Broxa to do at this moment for Fnatic, you can see him doing a couple times now, is on Rek'Sai, you have the use of the passive, so he hovers up between the lanes. He's looking for pings of the enemy jungler to try and find where Clid is at the moment to allow his lanes to actually move up and get that CS. Because right now, SK Telecom doing quite well with it. Meanwhile, on the top side, Khan, you can see farming up extra minions on his Seeker's arm guard.
And thank you to our observers who just showed us that now both the teleports are down for Bwipo and Khan to the top side. Obviously, with Bwipo being post-level 6, he does have impact elsewhere on the map due to his ultimate. So if a skirmish does break out, I assume when Clid has level 6 and they try to force a play on that level 6 power spike of Lee Sin, that a Bwipo ultimate could turn the tides for Fnatic.
So when it comes to looking for action, guys, I'm seeing a Mountain Drake on the map, and I'm seeing in 2.5 minutes' time, the Rift Herald's going to be up as Brox is going to find Clid. So maybe a little bit earlier, potentially, for that action, as Faker is going to move on over. But Nemesis has the inside track. He can roam first. Effort is here as well, though. It's 3 versus 2 at the moment as the pincer maneuver is coming in. And Brox are under the ground. Tremor Sense is going to spot all he needs to know.
Exactly. Junglers can move in 30-second windows here, basically. The step that Frost was talking about, Nemesis is able to push that wave first. This is one of the first times where Fnatic actually get to have mid-wave priority. They push it in, allow Brox to go look for the blue. He gets defended there, but is able to steal away the wolf.
Yep.
Big thing, though, is now Broxa has access to his ultimate, whereas Clid is now forced to the top side of the map before he'll have access to his. So this is actually a big window where Fnatic could try to force a play with that ultimate advantage on the Rek'Sai.
And Rek'Sai, Hail of Blades in the early game is not to be trifled with.
Oh, hell.
This champion is insane in the early duels. We already mentioned how he can interrupt Lee Sin's dashes. If that Rek'Sai gets on you, especially with the execute damage, definitely going to be dangerous things. And the other thing to highlight here, with that invade, Fnatic got 2 things done. They left behind multiple wards inside Clid's jungle. By process of elimination, they can then track him to the top side, but Faker.
Yep, Faker's dived in onto Nemesis here. The explosive charge, a lot of damage. Not going to be killing him just yet, though, but Faker just asserting his dominance here in his first game of Worlds 2019.
Faker's so good at playing with information. We know this, but it was this control ward that spotted out Broxa, which is why Faker immediately went on the aggressive and could trade his rocket jump, whereas he knows as soon as Brox is level 6 and Clid's walking to topside, the only play is a Rise snare into a setup for Broxa. So Faker just backed up, let Rise push him in. As soon as he had eyes on Broxa, went back on the aggressive.
Yep, gets to shoot him with his sword as well, which I always think is a fun thing to do. But Faker, see whether he can get his first plate here in the mid lane. I think because it's a Tristana that he should have been taking a few more, but with how this early game has gone, it's a bit of tiptoeing around. First blood was a very long time ago. 10 seconds until Shelly makes her way onto the map, and we'll see whether this lane here, the bottom lane, is going to be switched around to try and get some control.
Yeah, Rift Herald definitely a huge point of contention. There haven't been many turret plates taken in this game so far. What they can do is call for that recall fairly early. On the bottom side, though, Fnatic have been stacking up their support items very quickly. Another benefit of the Garen Yuumi style. So you get a lot more vision on the map because you can try and upgrade both of those support items very early in the game and deny some of those flanks that the Lee Sin is looking for.
Well, Lee Sin is going to find himself a Rift Scuttler around this Mountain Drake. But you can see the vision control is certainly there for Fnatic. They will know if SKT decide to go for something like this on the bottom side. So far, no one's moved up towards the Rift Herald. There's, okay, Effort going slightly aggressively, but does have the aftershock to keep himself alive.
And it does feel like we are kind of closing in into someone is going to make something happen, particularly because the TP is about to come up. So Khan will have access to his TP. Again, Whippo can't TP follow him, but does have the ultimate. I think that's kind of the big cooldown that SKT are waiting for. If they know that they can pull their Akali, then it's back to kind of the basics. Get push priority in bot and mid, and then try to edge around this Mountain Drake and see if you can pull Fnatic into a trap and bring Khan if you need him.
Well, Effort might be meeting 3 people underneath this turret, which may not necessarily be exactly what
There's
he wants.
the TP.
Yep, Teddy going to be teleporting towards the bottom side, but you've got it happening from Khan as well. Can they find Reckless? The you and me's there, but there's the cannon barrage. The ultimate from Teddy at exactly the right time as Effort flashes out of the way. The bait is beautiful. 3 kills for SKT.
And that was the button they were waiting for. It was the teleport on Khan. As soon as it was up, they knew that the laning phase, that they had all of the damage, all of the cooldowns they needed, and everything just exploded at once over a very prized Drake in that Mountain Dragon.
And this will have ramifications for the next 4 minutes of the game. Because they get the kill on bottom side, they can push in, they can take the Dragon, then swap up to top side and look at Rift Herald. In the meantime, for Fnatic, they're trying to get something back for themselves. As you can see on top side, Whippo, the Gangplank, trying to farm as much money as quickly as possible off of that turret and does get 2 turret plates.
Yep, Faker is going to move towards his top outer turret as well, just to try and defend, but it's a lot of turret plates like you were talking about, but can he actually stay alive? It's the exhaust that comes down, has to get into that brush, but he is going to be fine, I think, because Faker just going to dive out of the way because the Realm Walk AWP was coming in.
Very bold call. Bwipo even holds on to his flash right there, so well timed for Nemesis to protect him, but Faker is very powerful. You can see how confident he is on this Tristana.
That is a trust fall with Bwipo and Nemesis. And Nemesis is, I'm coming, my friend! And he is able to turn Faker around without having to burn the flash. Very important for the possible Rift Herald confrontation that we are setting up here. The bottom lane still returned to bottom side, though. It might be a little bit delayed. The next thing that we're looking at, so much of League of Legends is about item completions, and the first cores are coming very quickly. Here's another replay of what happened, though. As far as the teleports coming down, multiple channeled, same ward, Akali comes down. That is a Kayle ultimate denying the counter kill. Effort even flashing into the brush because he didn't want Reckless to be able to get off the Garen ultimate and get any sort of money back.
That does follow you now, so you can't actually break line of sight in order to stop that one from coming in. However, wasn't able to get him down low enough to throw that one out, and I believe he just died a little bit too quickly. You can see as far as CS is concerned, though, it's Khan with the lead on the top side, but Nemesis is very strong on that rise in the mid lane. Has completed his Rod of Ages, moving towards that Seraph's Embrace, and when those two items are complete, Fnatic are going to be very, very strong, especially when paired with the Trinity Force that Bwipo is about to complete as well.
Yeah, I agree with you with your assessment on the itemization. I might hold it, though, because it looks like Broxa's trying to slip in here for a gank. But
Find himself a control ward, so I think we're okay for now.
Holistically, I actually really like where SKT are to their breakpoints and items sooner. I feel like as soon as that Gunblade is complete on Akali, she basically has kill pressure on virtually anyone and can walk into a side lane. So I think SKT are very happy at the state of the game right now.
And I especially like, if you look at Teddy's item build, the Kayle. A lot of solo lane Kales have been going Hextech Revolver first to try and get through some of the early game, but he knows he's up against the Garen Yuumi. The lane is extremely free for him, so he went Nashor's Tooth, and now into Rageblade will be a higher DPS build for the Kayle once he's able to complete Rageblade and get to the 2 core. Meanwhile, Faker can carry the early game on this Tristana, as we've seen. Blade of the Ruined King already completed with the 2 kills to his name.
I actually love it. Use Tristana as a bridging champion. The one item power spike is so much bigger with that Blade of the Ruined King. We've been talking about 2 item spikes on a whole lot of different champions so much this tournament already. So Teddy with Rageblade Nash's is the best way to get the most power out of 2 items.
I want to kind of bring our attention to the map right now. So you could say that Fnatic recognize that the Rift Herald's probably being taken, that they want to trade objectives, or they frankly just don't know what's happening and they're on the wrong side of the map. They were trying to set a trap for this guy, which Nemesis is trying to look delicious, but he's not going to get him.
And this is Faker actually starting that fight without the rocket jump that we saw so many times. And thankfully, Frostgreen had already explained to us that it's because Broxa was not actually on vision and meant that he knew that there was that possible counter kill available. As Shelly turns up in the mid lane, not going to be able to take any plates, but might be able to break open the map for SKT.
But this is a big win for SKT, even if it doesn't break down this tower, because it was Fnatic trying to get a pick onto Faker and them getting the Rift Herald, and now the tower on top of it. This early game has been so clean from SKT and played on exactly their terms.
Exactly. With that mid turret down, the game state is incredibly difficult for Fnatic. They are looking already at giving away control of their own jungle. Only 16 minutes into the game, there's not a lot that you can do to defend this. What we would look for them to try and pull off is the combination. Now your Gangplank is level 11. You have rank 2 Gangplank ultimate. Your Rise can still realm warp people to the site. So Fnatic have to strike very quickly and try and find that numbers advantage. Because if you do not, SK Telecom just have so much more information and territory to work with.
And you can see all of that information on the map. Look at how many SKT wards are there. And one of the issues that Fnatic's composition has is the ability to challenge vision because you have a Yuumi rather than a traditional support. Hilly can't just go off on his own and clear out wards that he might do on another support pick.
Well, it looks like a brute force on this outer turret on the top side of the map, and Fnatic will be able to get it. The 2-for-1 special teleport will get Reckless up there with Hylissang beside him there as well.
And all this is being said, Fnatic are extremely close in gold still. Even though SKT are making the correct moves for their composition, and you see them setting up for the arrival of the Dragon, Fnatic very much can make this big turnaround. They have the item completions we are looking for. That Trinity Force on Gangplank is done. Bwipo can actually hit extremely hard.
Yep, and Faker going down very low, has to jump over the wall, and now the turret is the next in line. But Khan is here, dives on over, looks for Bwipo, but not quite enough damage. as the prowling projectiles trying to deter him from waiting underneath that turret. Fnatic try to make a move on the outer turret mid, but it's Teddy that's able to lock down the outer on the bottom side of the map while they're all distracted.
Yeah, Fnatic are investing a lot of time to try to push this back into the mid lane. Effort with the clear flank, and now, like you said, Teddy can join them. Picks up bot tower as well as that Ocean, and Fnatic are still here banging against the wall of SKT.
Yeah, we land to the dredge line as Whippo going to be knocked up into the air, but Hilletsang already dead. Effort going to be traded for it as Faker is bouncing around the fight. He gets the Divine Judgment, but doesn't need it. Broxa falls down as well.
Yeah, Effort saying, I would have liked that, please. Thank you very much. But how many team fights do you see where the Yuumi is the first one picked off? He jumped off and was able to get taken down so quickly there. SKT just burst him out. And that is such a big move from tower into dragon and mid-game team fight.
And SKT's mid tower is still standing. Yes, a stiff breeze will come and knock it down, but Fnatic invested so much time to try to force his objective and lost so much for it.
Yeah, right there. So Hilly jumps off just in time to also get hit with the Nautilus ultimate.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a poor time to jump off as the Yuumi. He doesn't get to make another action before he goes down.
And also immediately got auto-attacked by the Nautilus as well. So knocked up into the sky and then stunned immediately. Not a lot the cat on a book could do, as Broxa might be face-checking some members of SKT as they find him. Immediately the exhaust comes down from Faker, but they decide not to chase into the darkness. And Broxa is going to get out.
I think everyone was surprised of who was coming around that corner, Brock. So much confused SKT.
It's like, sorry.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Now it looks like Teddy's going to be the one that picks up the blue buff. Was actually a bit curious as to who's going to get priority there, but Teddy often likes to go around and get as many resources as possible at about this stage of the game. But you can see as far as CS, Reckless has kept up very, very well on the Garen.
Yeah, these two things are not created equal, though. Kale, level 11 for Teddy.
Are you saying that Kale scales more than Garen? Is that the lesson we're getting?
Just a wee bit there. He's almost to the Rage Blade. I think that's what Fnatic are fearing the most. Let's see if they can actually make some sort of play before that does happen, because SK Telecom are a few moments away from bringing that power to Brunt.
Yeah, it kind of feels like in a everyone plants their feet front to back fight that SKT's composition is heavily favored with this Kale and this Tristana, whereas it's much more hit and run style with a lot of the mobility between Gangplank and Ryze, using those two ultimates to get around and create unfair fights for Fnatic if they want to try to fight back into this game at this point.
Yeah, I feel like Fnatic, as far as like a combo team fight is concerned, especially short range, their composition does work very, very well with the AoE of a Ryze, plus the Cannon Barrage doing so much damage out of Whippo, and Reckless spinning on people, I guess. But I think you're exactly right. As this game goes on, it's feeling more and more SKT favored. Teleport back to lane from Teddy, and SKT are just going to wait until they find the right moment to fight again.
Yeah, that was the Rage Blade completion that we have all been waiting for, and SK Telecom are going to push down mid lane with it ever so quickly. Baron is on the map now as well, and they're transitioning into vision control over this area.
Yeah, and that's what they were waiting for, like you're saying. That's it. That's the moment for SKT. And if Fnatic fight them, that's exactly what they want at this point. So the question is, what can Fnatic do to try to grab as many resources as possible while trying to avoid a fair fight at all costs with SKT at this point of the game?
Well, those fair fights are really running out for Fnatic, because level 11, another evolution for Teddy, gonna have even more damage, even more range, even more flexibility. And this Kale, like a ticking time bomb that we've learnt about so far in the play-ins and elsewhere, especially if you've been watching solo queue, watching the Kale terrorizing everyone. Realm Warp going to be used just to see whether SKT are sneaking a Baron. And when you have to do that at 21 minutes, that's when you know that the game has gone out of your control.
And it's a very real reality when you have a Tristana with Bork and a Mountain Dragon in her pocket. And the fact is SKT are going to keep running this play where you have Klid as kind of the escort duty to Faker to make sure that he can stay safe in these lanes, chip away at structures, continue to stockpile gold, push lanes in, and then disappear into Baron. Eventually, Fnatic will have to face check, and that's what SKT want.
Yeah, we have to count the tools that Fnatic have to try and get information out of this Baron area. They've got the Rek'Sai passive as well as Praise Seeker. We already saw Nemesis try and use the ultimate there for a brief moment. And besides that, it's just the Yuumi poke and Gangplank. So it's becoming a very scary situation. You can see them trying to choose their moment to move in and get some of these wards down.
You can see Effort's positioning very far up, knows almost everything about what Fnatic are doing, and Fnatic understand that. They're going to move in, try and clear out some vision where they can. Not quite finding that ward there in the entrance to the river.
But they're not getting a lot of this vision that's actually set behind them. You can see those two SKT wards that are set in the defensive jungle of Fnatic. And that's what's giving SKT so much information on kind of when they can move into these side lanes, press forward, and what type of priority and pressure that they have on the map.
Now let's try and get creative here, because Fnatic, if they just sit and wait, then it's going to become even more of an untenable situation. When I see these sorts of situations, maybe I look to Nemesis on the rise. Completed 2 core here with the 10 stacks now on the Rod of Ages. Maybe you try and make something happen very quickly. You do have teleports on all of your teleport champions here with the Gangplank Rise and Garen. I love these trailing plays where you send the split pusher down there and then have the other one with teleport trail after them. If one member of SKT walks up, you try and make that very quick 2v1 and then get to the objective afterwards. The problem is that Akali has a Shroud and can delay for a very long time, so Akali will make the 2v1 not quick, and SKT try and force.
Yep.
It also means that Broxa could never leave this Baron pit, but he did. I think they'll be dissuaded by Bwipo's ultimate here, but I agree with you. If we're going to see Nemesis and Bwipo out into a side lane to find a pick, that means Broxa, Hilly, and Reckless need to hold this Baron line.
Yeah, well, SKT back on the Baron. It's already down to 2/3 health missing as Fnatic are going to move in and SKT back away. Not wanting to 50-50 this one. As I thought, Fnatic were thinking about potentially staying there, but they have a Rise on the bottom side of the map who's winning up against Khan right now.
Yeah, I got a little antsy there when I saw the Fnatic Prowling Projectile actually tag Baron. Maybe they were trying to keep it low health, but they let it regenerate, return back to the mid lane. One of the teleports has been used, but again, oh,
that was close. Prowling Projectile only 20% slow now, so Effort not going to get caught out of position in any rough moments there either. So, bit of a reset. SKT moving down the river, trying to catch this pesky Rise. Warp's going to be there, and Buster Shot would have knocked him out of that, but Nemesis is able to get out.
Check out mid lane.
Button, yes, we found Effort taking a lot of damage. He's got the Aftershock, but that's going to wear off. He's just dead, and Teddy didn't want to use his ult on him as Khan dives on forward. We still have the Divine Judgment, but it looks like they don't even use it. Finally, it comes down, and that's 2 kills for SKT. The jump forward, the resets from Faker, as now Clit has found Nemesis, the 1v1. It's a dangerous one for the Lee Sin, but he still wants it.
Oh!
Outplays him, Faker trying to chase, but he's not even going to get there. Distracted by a red buff, and Nemesis gets out.
By the skin of his teeth, Nemesis walks away from that, but an excellent performance from Nemi, and he is frankly the win condition at which Fnatic can try to play through, but it is such a delicate game. You can see that Fnatic, if they ever get a hold of them, they will rip them apart.
Nemesis just stalled that game. If Nemesis does not make that play, if he goes down, if Clid is still alive, that is a Baron take, not a Dragon take for SK Telecom. So that is extremely close to the game being blown wide open, and he makes a clutch play to keep Fnatic in it. SK Telecom still get the Dragon on the Aftermath, though, and they're going to return to the same game plan.
And that's the word that I really love there, Kobe, to keep Fnatic in it, because this is still SKT's game, and they got what they wanted. They got multiple summoner spells out. They got the key teleport from Bwipo. Yes, you still have TP from Rise right there, but this is going to be a 1-4 attempt from Fnatic versus the 5v5 catch game from SKT.
And as we look at the initial start to the team fight once again, Broxa there with the Unburrow trying to stay alive a bit longer, but with the Kayle and the Tristana, it just enables Faker to go with these very offensive rocket jumps. He actually uses the Buster Shot there, which makes distance between him and the fight between Clid and Nemesis. And if he had not done that, maybe it would have been a different story, but Nemesis is able to pull it out.
Damn, that was super close, though. If that auto attack had landed from Clid, then it would have been a dead Nemesis. So, Fnatic, they hold on for the moment. SKT go back to pushing out this mid lane and keeping this outer turret alive. I don't know how they've done it for so damn long. But there is not even 1,000 gold in this as SKT start up another Baron.
But here comes the other TP, because again, it's about this balance of game. SKT just want to grab as many cooldowns and resources away from Fnatic. They're going to keep running this exact same play. Shove mid, start the Baron, force Fnatic to respawn. They do not want to give time for Rise on this side lane.
Yep, Nemesis is still the hope for Fnatic. His teleport is ready. They're trying to delay as long as they can.
Yep, Teddy's taking a fair bit of damage to start this one off as Effort throws down the depth charge once again.
They're going for it.
There's a heck of a lot of DPS now down onto Reckless, but he's so tanky. His Effort goes down very, very low. Teddy relatively low as well, but it's still SKT that are coming out on top. Faker trying to finally ascended, and Faker has now found the Garen. Both the Garen and the Yuumi now in trouble. He flashes out of the way though, and the shutdown comes in. The cat is going to kill the KO, but it's still an SKT team fight.
But it doesn't matter because Fnatic stalled it out. Again, the Baron didn't go down. Now it is getting harder and harder. Again, SKT will try this same play. As the game goes later, Faker gets stronger. 7-0-2 on this Tristana right now. After he takes this tower, he's going to have the Infinity Edge, and he's going to be a massive problem. This window where Fnatic have to respect the Baron, SKT can do this in seconds now.
All right, let's take another look at it in the river here. The K ultimate used on himself there for Teddy means Effort is the first one to go down. And you can see how they dissect the fight. But because Nemesis is able to make this play and then pull off the Zhonya's, he gets the kill there. Actually, Reckless getting credit on the Garen as they try and run up the river. The turn here is where you start to get a little bit antsy if you're SK Telecom. That probably projectile landing on Khan creates a distance, and they almost take down Teddy and try and turn towards Khan, but Faker is able to make it around the extra turn there at the top of the river. And you keep mentioning, Frost, that Infinity Edge now going to be done for Faker.
He is massive.
He's so big. That's 3 items now done. Also has the extra shielding from the Lifeline package of passive of that Phantom Dancer as well as he dives in on top of Reckless. Just a bit of damage to get him out of that river.
Because the thing is they used all their TPs. Fnatic now no longer can play that 1-4, so they now have to figure out how they're going to stall this game on the front that SKT want to play. In fact, SKT have now divided them. Faker keeps going back to the Baron and then turning for the flank, and they're trying to decide, are we just collapsing on these fools and crushing them, or are we going to turn and burn the Baron?
Well, right now they are sitting in this brush. Still vision available for Fnatic, so that one ward you can see there in the pixel brush really saving Fnatic a lot of headaches as they once again find these minion waves crashing in the mid lane. Still desperately trying to take that outer turret to give themselves some more leeway in this game. It would actually be imperative. I mean, the fact that that is still there is so huge for SKT's ability to leave this lane and once again set up around that Baron. Fnatic looking for effort as
Spotted out.
SKT, yep, they've dived on it once again. Cannon Barrage utilized one more time as there's the ultimate out from Teddy to answer the final chapter, but Reckless still has closed the distance here. Teddy's still alive though, he's got so much health, but no, it's going to be the Void Rush that finishes him off, and now the Gangplank takes down the rest of the bottom lane. Faker in position though, he'll have the AoE. He's legendary on this Tristana. Hylissang trying to get the work done, but he can't do it. Finds Broxah, and now they're gonna try and get out of here.
Yeah, he's got Hylissang on him. Gets him with the...
Yeah, picks up the Q. The Resonating Strike going to bring them back as Clit goes golden. Now Khan is going to close the gap. He's chasing after Broxah once more as the Zoomies are helping speed this Rek'Sai away. But it's a limping Fnatic, and Faker says, I don't care, I'm just going to take your base.
Yeah, Faker had his eye on the prize there, trying to push down mid lane. SK Telecom make the call, though. They still have Clit alive. They can go for the Baron. There's a Honey Fruit in the river to heal back up on.
This pesky ward has been here so often for Fnatic, so they know exactly what's going on, but can they do anything about it is the question, and I believe the answer is going to be no. It's SKT teleporting Teddy into this fight, and finally, the Baron is going to be taken at 31 minutes in this game. SKT with a whole lot of control. Fnatic not wanting to give that one up. It's, oh, that was close.
By seconds there, with both spawning and TPing, immediately trying to get to the play in time, but like you said, the damage has been done. SKT have the Baron. They've had control of this game, and until that TP came back for Nemesis, Fnatic had to play on SKT's terms. When those TPs start coming back up, as Nemesis is now much more strong to the 5v5, we'll figure out what Fnatic's next game plan is to try to problem solve this closer to level 16 and Kale and Legendary Tristana, because those are big problems.
Exactly, and especially for tower pushing. SK Telecom will now have the Baron buff after this team fight, and they will have Faker on Tristana, 9 kills, no deaths in the entire game. Here's another look at the valiant effort, though, that Fnatic were able to put out. Faker barely surviving there at the end with the last auto attack getting off, and then Yuumi with the zoomies.
Yep.
Able to get Broxah out, as we know, as they delay.
Collecting the Sonic Wave there as well to deny the damage on the Resonating Strike was really cute. Out of Hylissang as well, just shows that he's very practiced on this Yuumi, as we all know.
I will say Fnatic are doing a wonderful job at finding those tiny instances to leap onto SKT. It was the fact that SKT were split over that Baron and in the jungle that Fnatic were almost able to pull that team fight away from them. So they're capable of seeing the windows to try to abuse this in a 5v5 scenario. They just need to make sure that it's picture perfect this time around, because check out Kale.
Yeah, check out Kale, but also check out 4 items on Faker. He just went back and completed a Bloodthirster. This guy is absolutely terrifying. Gunblade done for Teddy, like you were talking about going towards. That Zhonya's Hourglass next, and SKT are able to trash these turrets so incredibly quickly.
Yeah, it's very difficult for Fnatic to actually clear these minions out while they're buffed up by Baron. And Tristana, range scaling with level here. Faker's level 17. He can absolutely murder these turrets incredibly quickly. Does have a very big bounty on his head. So, that's the goal for Fnatic, trying to get a big swing in one of these team fights and get lucky.
And it may actually force Fnatic's hand. The best wave clear that they have, because it is a Garen uni bot, is actually through Whippo in those barrels. So if SKT keep trying to pressure with how much siege they have, it will force Fnatic to say, okay, we need to fight now. If we lose, it's probably game over, but there isn't a lot of options that we have in our composition just to get sieged in.
You saw Faker just thinking about pressing his W over that wall. He was very ready to do that. And I do need to give a Kale update. We've hit Transcendent form. We're level 16 on this Kale, so 575 range. We sieging on everyone on this SKT roster. Maybe not Khan, but he might be in a side lane being a nuisance there, as we can see bot side at the moment.
That moment of hesitation where you're looking at Faker on the other side of the wall, that move would be what Fnatic wants. If Faker jumps over that wall on Nemesis and he Zhonya's, he buys time for the rest of the team to get there, they get that kill, that is the window back into this game. So you still have to keep on setting up for those split plays. But SK Telecom, as you can see, 4-1 at the moment. Khan trying to move the rest of the minions up bottom lane while they siege.
Yep. We've got 1 inner turret remaining on the top side of the map, inner and outer remaining for SKT in mid, but you've got no outer turrets left available for Fnatic. It's just the base that they're desperately trying to hold on to. They are going to deny at least this inhibitor turret from being taken down. An aggressive Realm Warp is looking for Khan. Shuriken backflip is going to be there. He pops one of the ultimates, movement speed, as he throws down the Shroud. He should have the next ult, but the root is there from the final chapter. The rest of SKT are in the mid lane. They're going to have to trade the base for this, as boom goes the dynamite, but the base is getting destroyed as well. Cannon Barrage can't save you from that one, but at least it keeps the inhibitor alive as Nemesis has teleported in. Hylissang is there as well. Prowling projectile flash from Teddy as the barrels come down. Whippo doesn't find it as now the SKT turnaround is in. The gangplank immediately taken off the board. The flash forward from Effort to make sure that he can get on Nemesis, but he goes golden. Can he have the AoE damage? There's so much of it as the Buster Shot onto 3 separates Reckless from the fight, and the resets now come in. It's all about Teddy's damage, and Faker launching himself forward. Clit's there. Can he find the Q? He doesn't need to. They just want to take down these inhibitors, and SKT, a beautiful turnaround team fight.
And now they've got alone time with the Nexus turrets here. Broxa and Hylissang trying to fend them off.
Oh no, it's 1-2 and they're both dead. Teddy picks up a double to end it. 5-2 and 13 for the Kale as the Nexus falls for the first time in the world's group stage, and SKT reigns supreme.
And it just felt inevitable. With that type of composition, the